Assalamu alaikum everyone. Inshallah everyone's doing good today. Uh, I myself am doing fine. This is the second video that I'm doing, and actually I want to provide more context for why I am doing what I'm doing, and it's important to know that in a sense you could say I feel like I'm almost called to do something like this, as though Allah wants me to share in my issues of the past and even issues of today, that I feel it would be beneficial to others, because there is always khair even in problems, even in trials and tribulations, in events in your life that you're not happy about. There is still khair in them because they help you to learn about how to live your life better after, to avoid these mistakes in the future. However, put it this way, for me, I mean, what I want to give to my audience is that if there are certain events, certain issues that, like, if my warnings can keep you away from having to deal with those similar issues, then for me, that would be great. That would be like I'm doing something good for my community, the community of the world, that is, of people living in this dunya, in this life. And so, yeah, I want to do my part. I want to, like, because these mistakes, these events, these traumatic events that happened to me, they didn't happen for no reason. There's good reason for them happening. And of course, as it said in my deen, uh, if the more trials you have, the more trials and tribulations, the more your reward afterwards. So with hardship comes ease. That's basically the gist of it. With hardship comes ease, and eventually ease would come. And Alhamdulillah, ease did come to me. I married again, and even after the years, the almost a decade of all the issues that I dealt with my ex, and the reasons and justifications I was giving for us to try and stay together. And of course, supposedly we could have divorced from before, but Allah is the best of planners, and of course, so the path that I took, or the length of time I took in being with my ex and then divorcing her after a set number of years, and then seeing a few other women after her, of course in the halal, and of course it didn't work out with them either. But then it, like, subhanallah, it got me to the point where I was able to meet my now wife, my present wife, like at the exact time. It was perfect. It was perfect for her as well, because she was also in a, well, I won't say she was really in a relationship per se. It was more like, yes, she knew someone. She was she was in a, but it wasn't a relationship in the sense of how Westerners view a relationship. So she was playing by the book, of course, by the deen always. And alhamdulillah, she's a very religious woman and a very smart woman, uh, well educated, good sense of humor, so many things within her that I love and cherish. And the all the things within her that they bring a lot of joy to me. And clearly Allah has made it so me and her, or were made for each other. There's always someone for somebody else. There always is someone specifically created to be your partner. Never lose hope in that. So I say this to anyone, especially the young men out there, that they feel like, oh, they're in a rush. They're in a rush to get married, especially if their parents happen to have some. They happen to be pretty wealthy. And now me, I was born. I wasn't always born. I wasn't born into privilege. My growing up, my father had to work hard at becoming wealthy, being a business owner and slowly expanding. So it's not like I was born with a silver spoon, but I had, you know, as I was growing up, I was given a lot of opportunities, and Alhamdulillah, my dad, he was able to provide so much for me and my siblings, and for that I am eternally grateful. However, there comes with it certain risks for me growing up, becoming an adult, but that's another video to make about. That's not right now. But in this particular case, though, regarding finding my, finding the one for me, uh, of course, when I was with my ex, before we got married, I remember my parents telling me, you should wait a little bit. It's okay. And I was telling them, no, no, she is the one for me. She's the one for me. And I was saying that out of youthful ignorance, of course, but really it was more like I didn't have the confidence within myself to believe that another woman other than her would want to be with me. Like I was thinking at the time, if she doesn't marry with me, am I going to find somebody else? It, is there another woman that would actually marry me? Because I'm weird. I'm a little bit weird, so I'm a little bit strange. My wife, my wife now, that is, she's also a bit strange. It's endearing. It's very beautiful to see that she has a little dorkiness within her that you know it's very not it's very natural, easygoing, and it's just of course you see a lot of adults, a lot of men, women that they have like a frozen face on, like they don't really laugh a lot. They're extremely serious in their attitudes. Uh, Me, I'm serious. I'm a serious man, but I also like to laugh, and my wife likes to laugh. So Alhamdulillah that we both have a sense of humor like that. So, but at that time, when I was getting to know my ex before we married, I really did have confidence issues, and even now I have confidence issues. So, but but you should not let that push you into making choices that you wish you could take back. So yes, you, especially for the young man, you are worth it. You have good qualities within you. And if you feel you need to be with a woman just because, oh, like, don't settle. Don't be like, okay, I'll be with her because there's no other woman I'll be with me. That's not good enough. That added to that with the lust that you have within you, uh, that's a recipe for disaster. And of course, we had a lot of issues, personal issues throughout marriage, which I'm not going to say specifically because it's too personal. But one thing I will say that after we divorced, and even shortly before that, when I was seeing a marriage counselor, we were both seeing a marriage counselor, but I continued to see him after we divorced, and he got me to realize something that my parents tried. Of course, my parents tried to realize this, but they're my parents. I love them, but you expect your parents to say good things to you. You expect them to make you believe that you're doing good. You're okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Yeah. But when a professional tells you that, especially after you tell him all the issues you've been dealing with, and he heard all of that from your ex as well, and then he looks at you and he says in complete seriousness, listen, see, Sesame Zuzu, listen, Sesame Zuzu. Well, he didn't actually say Sesame Zuzu, but he said, listen, Sesame Zuzu, you're doing good, you're doing fine, and it's not your fault. You just you just have so much guilt within you, and you're very low confidence, and you shouldn't be like that. You have a lot. You're a good man. You're a kind man, but also you should not let your partner take advantage of that. However, you should always try to be as patient as you can, and not let your anger get the best of you. Because if I let my anger get the best of me, then who is going to look weak in the argument? Who will lose the argument? I will. As the man, right? Usually, when a man and a woman are fighting, who ends up looking like they lost the argument, even though they feel justified in getting angry? The man. That's very common, because no one expects the man to get angry. They expect him to be more logical, not as emotional. And oh yeah, I know there's gonna be some feminists. I hope there's no feminists watching this, because then they're gonna call me sexist. But so whatever, you could say what you want. I don't care. Uh, but yeah, men usually are less inclined to get upset, like out of emotion. There are exceptions, of course, but most men they try to keep calm, and it's good that you do keep calm and stay in control and walk away from an argument if you have to, because as my therapist told me, I do not have to deal with all of that. I don't have to deal with my partner getting upset with me like that. Just walk away. And anything that I wish of her, anything that's within my rights, I'm allowed to dictate them to her, but in a gentle way, of course. Don't be saying, I want this, I want that, you better do this for me right now, or I'm going to. No, no, of course not. But I'll be gentle and say, please, can I would like you to do this or that, because I would really appreciate it. But this kind of thing already, it was too late by that point. Already at that point, my my wife at the time, before we divorced, she already, like, it's been years, and she, even when I was trying to improve and take the advice of my therapist, at that point she'd given up, and like for that past year, the last year of our marriage, she'd given up completely. So even when I did the best that I could by her, and I tried to avoid confrontations, especially in front of our daughter, because it was hard. Our daughter was like like around 4 years old at the time, and it was really hard. My daughter seeing us fighting, then she would get in the way and get really upset, and she'd be crying and saying, "Please don't fight, don't fight." And I mean, that's one thing that my mom herself has been regretful of. That, that I mean, not that my mom doesn't regret my daughter being born, but she was like, if you didn't have a daughter, divorce would have been a lot easier, because you know, like when you divorce and there's no kids, then that's it, you're finished. But you divorce and there's kids, well, you're going to have to keep dealing with your ex, and that is something I have to keep doing. And of course, my responsibility is to my daughter, obviously. So I have to separate that responsibility from the responsibility of my present family that I have right now. And she has a baby brother from my wife, my now wife, my now and forever wife, inshallah. That's what I call her. She's my forever wife. And that's something that every man and every woman, forever husband, they should be able to call their spouse that. So, but of course, as I was saying, regarding the marriage therapist, he told me things that my dad especially was telling me, but I didn't want to hear it because he's my dad. Like, I didn't think he would understand. And that's so unfair to my dad. really, because he's been in fights with my mom before. Even now, they would argue from time to time, but he knows how to give and take with her in a way that avoids as much conflict as possible. And that's something that it's good to learn from, and there's a lot of wisdom in that. And but of course, their personalities, their perspectives are aligned with each other a lot. So it's, you could say in a way, it's easier for him to deal with all that. Now, for me, maybe if I were to do as he told me early on in in my first marriage, who knows? Would we be able to reconcile and things will be a lot better, and I'd still be with her and we'd have more kids? Well, that that's not a path. Obviously, this path did not come to be. This path, there's no path there. Clearly, I'm on a different path right now. But it goes to show that your actions have consequences, and and your path, it diverges into many different possible paths. So the path that I went on, all those years of troubles and just and a lot, it became like very like it was a very long and troubling journey. It was a lot of hardships involved, but with great hardship comes ease eventually. And I can tell you that my new life right now is is a lot better. I I have such a great connection with my wife of now. I have such a great connection, alhamdulillah, and we are on the same page in so many things. Our perspectives align on so many things. So it's rarely do we argue. I mean, it's not like we don't argue, but it's rare and it's very easy to reconcile. So this is something that a lot of people don't really have in their lives, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful that I'm able. I feel like I'm becoming a better version of myself with my partner. She encourages me to become better than I am, and this is something that everyone should have in their partner. Not a partner that brings them down, that makes them feel guilty, that makes them feel upset with themselves. Never. It's, you should never have to settle for this kind of behavior. So that's that's all basically. Like I'm gonna keep it shorter this time. I know last video was a little bit long, but I had a lot to say. I still have a lot to say, but I want to try and do shorter videos so that I know the audience these days don't watch very long videos. So I will try and do a better job at structuring how I want to speak to the audience, so to speak. So, yeah, really the moral of what I'm talking about today is if your parents give you advice and it looks like it's solid advice, it looks like it's advice that you might hear from a professional, I'd advise that you listen, especially when you know that they have your best interests at heart. I had to learn the hard way that my parents do have my best interests at heart. I mean, even now they do. Even if we're different, we have different perspectives on things. Like, we don't always see eye to eye, but I always love and respect them no matter what. And that's something, hopefully, that I like to believe that a lot of people have decent parents. I know there are those that don't really have decent parents, but to those that don't, you know, may Allah make it so that they can become better compared to before. And may Allah ease your burdens always, especially when you are trying to put in the effort yourself. Because even when the parents, it seems like they're going to fail you or they don't really care, you should not do the same. No matter what, you should try and do the best you can by them. Because Allah chose your parents. You didn't choose them. So you deal and act with them accordingly, inshallah. Anyway, I will see you all later and take care of yourselves.